Hello and welcome to JLXP Special Edition, Pobelter to CLG in 2020. I'm Jatt, here with Kobe. It's Wednesday afternoon. You're about to go to the gym. It's an off day for us, but we saw this news, Pobelter to CLG, and we decided that we had to talk about it.
Yeah, I saw their CLG's tweet 6 minutes after it went live. I was like, oh, I got to get in there. Told Jatt, and his eyes got all big. Oh, my God, it's time for the first ever special edition hot news topic. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go, man. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to give quick reactions to stuff. This will probably end up going up about Wednesday afternoon. But so this is what happened. Crown has been bad, basically all split. CLG is sitting at 1-7, and not only did they announce that they've acquired Pobelter, they also just tweeted, like, we'll be stepping into mid lane for CLG. Yeah. We know we have a lot of work to do, but we are not giving up on this split. Please support Pobelter and the team this weekend. So he's just starting.
Right in there.
I talked to him on Saturday when he was just walking around as the TL coach. And I was like, you look pretty good as a jungler. He's like, yeah, I thought I was getting decent. And like, that was the conversation I had. Now he's CLG starting mid laner?
The timing of it is also really funny because we just finished yesterday our whole episode of The Dive. And the structure now, we don't talk about every single team every time. And we had skipped CLG last time. So this time we did a lot more on CLG. And it was rough, right? Because they're dead last place. It seems like there's so many failing parts. And we were specifically talking about Crown for a long time of like, what has happened to this player? We know because we have seen it even recently and here in North America, him be a good player. Mechanics, decision making. Like last year, he was very strong. And it's just he's throwing his spells on the champions incorrectly.
Yeah. Like I don't think it's a bad decision to bench Crown for this week. Looking at his stats on the year, 21 kills, 26 deaths, 23 assists in 8 games. And 10 of those kills are from one EG game. And he's coming hot off the tails of the 0-4-0 Yasuo game with backwards wind walls. Yeah, I listened to The Dive this morning at the gym, so I heard you guys just going in on Crown. And we'll get to Pobelter in a minute and our expectations for him. Here's my like hot take expectations for Crown. I asked Song, CLG's coach, specifically about Crown and why he respected him as a player before the year. And the thing that stuck out is his like first response was, I know how hard of a worker Crown is, so even if he's playing really badly, I trust he will be able to find his way out of that hole. Now, I want to ask him that question again, because you can find your way out of a hole by stepping away from stage, or you can try and grind through it on the stage. Clearly, the team has decided the stage ain't working.
Well, it's getting kind of deep in the season, so
they're basically halfway through.
You don't have a lot more ground to give before you're just digging the hole deeper, and you are never going to be able to climb out for the season. This team, I've got to assume, at least wants to be able to make it into playoffs.
They were third place Summer Splitter 2019. It's been a disaster so far.
Exactly. So
PoE's basically the best or second best performing mid in the LCS, the guy they got rid of to get Crown, basically.
I think even the most, like the strongest Crown fans are going to be like, yeah, okay, I understand. Because even the strongest fans are like, he is not performing to what they expect of him and what they've seen in the past. So as far as that layer, just evaluating from the team, I was like, okay, you know what? They really need to do something drastic to change now to be able to try and make it into playoffs. So I think pretty much everybody is going to be okay, even though it sounds crazy. If I told you at the beginning of the year, like, oh yeah, CLG, they signed Crown, but they also signed Pobelter, and they're going to swap him in instead. You're like, what the?
Yeah, I mean, talking a little bit more broadly about CLG, is this the best? If you're going to switch out one, is this the best one to switch?
So
like Lorlo, Acadian, like you look at the best academy players and the players available to replace. The highest quality not LCS players, do seem to be mid laners in Damonte and Pobelter. If that, do you agree?
I do actually. I think I do, because there's not a lot of. I think Lorlo might be the closest. I guess would be top lane talent, and people definitely, rightly so, have also been throwing criticism at Ruin. If you're trying to analyze like which hole on the CLG ship right now is the biggest, is leaking the most water.
Well, yeah, and it comes down to so many different factors, like who's available, who are you able to acquire.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Pobelter's starting as a mid laner over Jensen, so TL's kind of doing Pobelter solid.
I think that mid lane is the easiest to replace. They definitely have a lot of problems, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just individual players or individual play, but the team play, the coordination. They've even talked about it themselves, about their communication, which was one thing that they thought as a team, they thought they were going to be strong with coming into this year. So
and they have not been.
Yeah, there's just it's a laundry list basically, and I do like that they are taking it one step at a time, because that's how you have to attack it. You can't tackle problems holistically all at once.
This also, to me, makes them closer to the 2019 summer version of themselves with PoE in the mid lane, just in the fact that there is less likely to be in-game translation needed. Like Crown Ruin communication, it's like, no, like PoE and Pobelter just communicating English primarily as their main language, and they're going to be maybe a little bit more coordinated. I also kind of want to pull it back to the fact that the last time Pobelter was on this team was the summer split of 2015.
Yeah.
It's been almost 5 years. He only spent, this was a fun fact at the start of the year, one split on CLG, which is just wild. When you think of his career, like, it feels like he was there for a lot longer, but he wasn't.
You remember championships.
Yeah.
So if you win a championship on a team, that's going to leave a lasting impression.
Yeah.
And I also looked it up. I wanted to verify before I tweeted out this morning of 6 minutes after they had posted.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, wait, it literally was just that one split, but that was such a big part of CLG's history that people, remember from contemporary LCS.
Yeah.
It's, one of their biggest moments was that championship. And even though he was only on for one split for a blip, not even a whole year.
Yeah.
It does feel like, Keen tweeted out, this was pretty funny response. He was like, CLG calling their ex after Valentine's Day. Extra little twist here for the LCS. We've got the storylines. We've got the drama. They were missing some wins here, and so they decided to call back Pobelter, who, and this is probably where we should probably turn this to, is focusing on
how's he gonna do
on him. Of at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, why are we importing like Ica and Ryoma? And when we have Pobelter and Damonte and these types of mids. And this was one of our big discussions that a lot of analysts were having in the offseason. And there were a couple of strategies here. Damonte went into Academy. Pobelter, Steve, they made a conscious decision to not put Pobelter into Academy and to bring him on as a coach, because they thought that would probably be better for him. So he kind of had a couple different options, right? He was a possible jungle sub, like you were talking about earlier, and then now some disaster happened, so he's able to get right back into the LCS, and it really does seem to have worked out for him, because focusing on him as a player, he was a big part of FlyQuest's success in spring last year.
Not in summer where they slumped, and that was where a lot of people kind of imprinted, this is what Pobelter is now.
Exactly. I'm doing the start with the positive. Start with the sugar.
Yeah.
And then go to why it fell off there. But and that's pretty recent, right? So I still have a lot of faith in him as a player. And I'm very curious to see how he will mesh with this CLG team, because like we talked about, there are a lot of problems that have been going on with the team. It wasn't just, a one-player thing, we swap him out, everything's going to be dandy.
Yeah.
So Pobelter is going to have a big, big mound of things to work on here. Not only has he been practicing jungle, right, for half his time or whatever, and not been a full-time mid laner, he's going to have to practice up mid lane to get tip-top shape on mid lane, but also work with the team to solve whatever internal issues they've been having with their coordination.
Yeah, at least it starts off easy for them. They only have to play Cloud9.
Yeah.
Yeah, first game, is set up for success.
So honestly, community will give you a freebie, right? You're going to lose to Cloud9 no matter what.
At this point,
so everyone will
maybe,
be like, whatever. So maybe starting out with something that people expect you to lose in some twisted way is easier.
Yeah, and then, oh man, this is juicy. So like, it is the counter logic thing to do to beat Cloud9.
That would certainly be counter to logic.
It seems impossible, but this is one of those things where if it happens, it's not going to be a dream. And then,
can you imagine, by the way, how much
Pobelter comes in,
Pobelter would get?
If Pobelter comes in and they beat Cloud9, and then their second game was against FlyQuest, the team that said Pobelter no thank you, the team that has COG's mid laner from last year. Oh my God, like
we know stories
the
here.
Intermingling of Pobelter with the LCS is just too juicy.
Writers got some good twists here, trying to keep people interested in the middle of the split.
Yeah, but how do we expect him? Like, what should the expectations actually be week 1? And I don't think
very low.
I don't think they should be high. I think they should be very low. I'm a little concerned that, like, being in game shape for Pobelter, depending on how much he was trying to contribute to the TL coaching staff and how hard he was committing to potentially being their jungler. Because up until Schernfire's visa got approved like half a week before the split, he'd been playing nothing but jungle. So I'm sure everyone knows this, and it applies at a pro level too. When you switch roles, your main role, your old main role gets worse because you're just not practicing it. So he wasn't playing mid lane up until right before the split. And then in terms of swapping back to mid lane to get an LCS shape, he's had about a month and a week, 5 weeks, of not even starting. And if he's coaching the LCS team, that means the 12-5 scrim block, he's not playing. He's just watching, right? So I do wonder where his mechanics will be at, where his game sense will be at. And that's before even considering the fact that he's got 4 completely new teammates on a team that's only won a single game.
All right, hear me out.
Okay.
Pulling back a little bit, very wide scope view.
Okay.
I think most people would agree if you just throw out a general statement of, if you practice more positions, it will generally give you a better understanding of the entire game and will generally kind of raise your overall game knowledge and maybe give you a better perspective. Now, in practice, like you're talking about, that is very difficult for people to pull off, especially in short time periods. Not everybody is perks.
Yeah.
Even Caps is not perks, as we've seen. Some of the games start to drop off for him. But yes, role swapping is very difficult. I think that jungle is one of the most beneficial for laners to take kind of a little,
break.
Basically study abroad.
Did you hear Perks talking about jungle? He was on the Dom Thorne show, Crackdown. It's actually interesting. Perks claimed that jungle is the easiest role to swap to if you've been a pro for a long time. Because the things that change in the jungle, the champions that you play, the jungle pathing, that's all very temporary and kind of anyone can learn that. The overall thing a jungler needs to know is which lane to play through and how the game works and where you should be. And Perks claimed, I mean, he's very ego Perks. He's like, oh yeah, I could be the best jungler in LEC in 3 or 4 weeks.
And
which is like,
now that he's done it with AD carry,
you believe him.
You're kind of be like, all right, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we saw Ambition be a good jungler. Yeah. Like, I could kind of buy that. I still think that, yes, it can make you a better player in the long run, but it will make you a worse player in the short term.
And the things that you lose are currency on matchups, right? You're not going to forget, your mechanics necessarily, right? Mechanics should be something that's, holds over pretty well.
It'll be a little rusty.
A little rusty, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest hit goes to knowledge of current matchups, right? Because matchups and the people that you play against, those little variations, especially if there are changes in meta, that's going to be something, that you have to put more thought into rather than it being that automatic, oh yeah, you know this early trading pattern or whatever. But yeah, I'd say holistically, long run, it does give you a change to your perspective, which can help. But right now, it's definitely going to be, I think, a low bar for Pobelter coming and slotting right back into mid lane and going against Cloud9, especially Niski, whose style is very aggressive and who has a very aggressive jungler, right? Because if you have Niski Blabber trying to force kills on you from minute one,
and you've been playing with Wiggly for 3 days,
what's your game plan, bro?
It's a tough situation for him to go in. Kind of just initial thoughts. I give this move a thumbs up. I think this sounds good. When Pobelter wasn't on a starting team and he made the twit longer about, hey, I don't think that players that have played a long time should be counted out. What I hoped he took away from that was to continue to motivate himself and step up to the plate rather than just feeling salty that he wasn't on a team. It seems like he's done that in opting into a coaching role and continuing to try and contribute in any way. And now he's kind of rewarded again with an LCS spot. The level of the reward, awarded with the last place team's LCS slot and immediately having to face Cloud9 is not great. But would you give this good move, CLG, for doing this at this juncture, just crown for Pobelter in isolation?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning, where I was like, I don't think a lot of people would disagree with it at this point because CLG is such a burning pile right now, right? When your options look that terrible, you got to try something. So I think that's what most people are thinking right now. They're like, change. There will be something fresh, right? Because there's just too many things to go over for what has not been working for this team. So I definitely give it a thumbs up. I'll be happy to see Pobelter again. I do think that they will keep on Crown, and I have confidence that Crown is still a good League of Legends player. I don't think some freak accident happened that he cannot play the game correctly anymore. It's like something
week-long tilt or something. Something is weird because he's been good. He was good last year. He's a world champion.
So you don't. I don't think you lose it that fast. So your earlier conversation when you're like, oh, Song believes that he'll be able to get him out of that hole. I don't know how long that would take, but I also believe that Crown can, rise at least to above the level that he's playing right now. Looking forward with CLG and looking forward with Pobelter, I'm very curious to see, especially now that he's experienced a lot of these other perspectives, jungle and coaching included, what can he bring as from that perspective to the CLG coaching staff to try and remedy some of these situations.
Final thing we'll end on for Pobelter. They're 1-7.
True.
Everyone else in the league is between 5-3 and 3-5. So 4 or 2 wins ahead of CLG. What is your percentage chance that CLG still have of making the playoffs?
Very low.
Yes, but how? Give me a number.
Give you a number percentage chance.
I'm going to say 15.
Ooh, I was going to go single digits, my friend.
I was thinking 20 before I said 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
20%.
It's not 20. It is 15.
Really? Okay.
Well, because you guys talked about the soup on the dive, and CLG was actually a third-place team last split. Not that much has changed, please, guys.
It looks like quite a bit has
Okay, what's your
changed.
your 5? 1 in 20 times? You said single digits.
So, yeah, and my problem also is that, like we were talking about, I don't think they're going to have immediate success bringing him in because he's not.
Right, they 0-2 this week.
Exactly.
They're 1-9.
Exactly, and you start to think about it because the further down you go, you're like, oh, it's still in the numbers. They can easily do it, but it starts to become this scenario where you have to win every game in front of you. And There's a reason that nobody likes promotions in ranked League of Legends, that you have to win these games.
Yeah, must win
like,
basically 3 or 4, because you have to win the one to trigger the promotion, and then you have to
Exactly. You're starting out already with a loss on your promotions, and Pobelter's coming in from doing other jobs. He's
0-2 in his LCS promotion series. He's like, what's this?
Yeah, and now he's like, oh, okay, well, what do we do with this? Yeah, so I think I'm sticking single digits. Maybe I'll go over 5. How about 7%?
Okay,
lucky number 7%.
Lucky number 7.
Also, it makes me laugh because the first day when we had the tailgate outside, there was some fan of CLG, and she clearly was not a longtime fan because she looks over and she's like, and I think Joel asked her, where'd you get this swag? She's like, oh yeah, from that team, 37 CLG, because their logo looks like squished together 7.
Really? The CLG logo looks like a 37?
She kept saying 37
How
CLG.
Is it? I can see the 7, but the 3 doesn't.
So that's why I thought it was funny. So I'll give him lucky number 7. 37 CLG. Yeah. Let's go.
All right, let's go. That's it for Pobelter, but just for people that are interested, I asked you before if you want to talk about solo queue, because both you and I have been looking forward to playing this patch 10.4, and this Pobelter news has delayed our solo queue adventures. I was planning on playing at 1 p.m. and it's currently 1:20. What are you going to try first? And then I'll give you mine.
I also have some devastating news for you.
The patch isn't out?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it's also been delayed.
Okay.
I believe because it's President's Day.
Oh, right. Usually when there's a holiday, the patch goes out 1 day later.
And then we're LCS, so we don't really do holidays.
Yeah. I cast Academy on Monday. Well,
so you're going to have to wait another day. I came in the office with that too. I was like, I'm going to play some, go to the gym. Oh, wait, the patch's not out. Anyways.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, set up your
tomorrow.
schedule.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
On the list. Still on the list. First one to try is Talon. I used to be a Talon main for mid lane a very long time ago.
You said 4 years ago.
I said 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a guess. I'm kind of old. I don't even remember.
Maybe it was 8.
I've been playing this game for 10 years. They all blur together. Whatever. Give or take a few. At one point, I was playing Katarina and Talon in mid. That being said, these changes where they're buffing a lot of the passive damages of these laner champions to
Garen,
the jungle.
Darius, Talon.
A lot of people have voiced concerns that it's just going to make them better laners that just poach jungle camps more often.
I think that's going to happen.
That's probably what it'll turn into, but I want to try Talon. He is very squishy, so I am going to have to come up with creative gank routes, jungle routes for the early stages, because I will not be able to just full clear face tank things. So
probably not.
I am anticipating having to get creative with my W, rake, slow, kiting stuff a lot, jumping back in for the passive procs and stuff like that. But I think that I can do it. And I'm definitely starting that one off on my Smurf. What I think that I will end up with on this patch is spamming a bunch of Cinderhulk users, because the Cinderhulk buff I think is very strong. And I have always had a good frontline mindset, I guess. I think a lot about my crowd controls and trying to zone people and start fights and stuff like that. So it's always a little bit more.
And there's a lack of those players in solo queue. So I feel like you get extra rewards when you're playing like that.
Yeah. So top of the list for those ones, Sejuani, of course, because she just got individual buffs.
Yeah, I'm not playing Sej.
I really enjoy it because she is one of those tanks that still has a dash. They really nerfed the cooldown on Q, but that's why people max it second now. So that plus Zac, I think, is always on the border of coming back in, and Jarvan.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that what they mean on the text for the Cinderhulk thing, the explosion occurs on immobilize. I'm assuming that the knockup...
So when the EQ lands, it'll get them there instead of where you're jumping from, hopefully.
I got to test it, but I'm assuming that it will work on EQ. If it doesn't, I might throw that one out.
Yeah. So what I'm going to try, Cinderhulk Udyr again. Yep. Just because anytime there's a chance that Udyr might be good, he's my boy. I'm always going to play him. I'm going to bail really quick if it doesn't work, though, because he's felt bad for a while.
I was planning on rushing Cinderhulk with him because you get the explosion, and then into Trinity Force as my 1 damage item, right? And then full tank. Is that what you're thinking?
What are your tank items going to be?
I haven't thought about it too clearly.
Because a lot of people do dead man's plate.
The standard tank items are all very good on him. Frozen Heart just got buffed, and that used to be a decent
that used to be my jam.
So,
it just feels like all the 80 carries just have like too many spells now, so it doesn't really do anything to slow their attack speed is kind of the way I'm at.
And even though Stoneplate is very strong right now, the damage reduction part of it, which
it's bad for Udyr.
Yeah, a lot of other tanks don't care about it, but he does.
He needs to do damage while he's in.
Because he's a high DPS uptime.
Yeah. And the next one I'm going to try, I'm just going to pull a Mumu out again. Not necessarily because the buffs are nice. Your dash speed is faster after you land your Q, and your ult has a lower cooldown at rank 1 by 20 seconds and goes down to 100 seconds by level 16 and stops dashes. So like interrupts dashes now. But the bigger reason I want to do it is like if Karthus and Olaf are kind of coming back in terms of power farm, like a Mumu power farm is my jam. He can actually clear the jungle really quickly once he gets a few levels with like a W max. So the idea is Cinderhulk, W max, Liandry second, Sork Shoes, Aftershock. I'd been doing Trundle because he was the single target boy. Now that there's more value in overall camps, I'm going to venture into the AoE clears again and be a more selfish dude. So that's a Mumu might be the one that ends up sticking.
I also, by the way, it's good that you put time in on Trundle because that's always going to be useful. With Cinderhulk getting buff and more people running tanks.
Well, my trick was Blood Razor Trundle.
You can counter
because he can kill objectives really fast.
I'd say the higher that you go,
the worse Blood Razor becomes.
Yeah. So because the higher ELO friends always flame me super hard for going for that.
It's true.
I'm like, I've been carrying and lower. Okay, I just need to be the front line now.
Yeah.
And my idea about the Will Jarvan EQ proc Cinderhulk, I also theorized that Trundle Pillar, if knockbacks are going to do it, if that's an immobilize, then maybe you get an explosion on your Trundle Pillar.
Yeah.
And that would be both hilarious and strong. So maybe consider that.
Okay. Looking forward to playing on Thursday morning after the patch hits. I'll probably put an Mumu game in tonight.
Go to sleep early tonight.
Yeah, maybe. Wake up early and get to the grind. Although I never play more than like 5 or 6 games a day because of my wrist. But I'm going to get them in. Kobe, thank you for joining me. For those of you listening or watching, if you're watching on YouTube, know that the podcast version exists on Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher. Just search JLXP and you can follow it there to get notified every time we go live. If you're watching on YouTube, that's fine too. Subscribe, continue. We'll only be putting episodes of JLXP on the JLXP YouTube channel. Keen Lamb will be Thursday morning with the 10 Thoughts series, but we wanted to get this in as quickly as we could Wednesday afternoon about Pobelter to CLG. So looking forward to that coming up this weekend. Thank you once again, Kobe. And we'll see you next time.
Once again. Once.
Bye.